All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome and good evening to you all. Happy Friday. We are here. It is still considered Friday night, if it's still technically Friday. Today is Friday, November 12th, 2021, and this is your PTE News Break. I'm your host, PTE, just catching up with you with everything that has taken place over the course of the week in our little news break here. So, welcome everyone to the show. Why don't we just jump right into it? Okay. So, quite a bit going on this week. Those of you who follow my other channel, A Deeper PTE, we've already done two shows over on that channel regarding this topic where I really go in depth into my thoughts on the Astroworld tragedy. So I'm not going to go in depth over here. I'm just going to report out on it because I'm aware that all of you don't follow my other channel for some ungodly reason. Why don't you follow the other one? You should give it a follow. This is what it looks like. A Deeper PTE, and these are the two videos. So the first one is this unexplained deaths at Astroworld Music Festival, and then the other one is this one here with the word Astroworld in pink. I think our psychology is being operated on. Deeper thoughts on Astroworld. So we've covered it over there, but I will just give you kind of an update because things have updated even since we last spoke about it on my other channel. They might be scared. Come on over. We don't bite. We don't. Travis Scott's lawyer slams finger pointing over the Astroworld tragedy. Here's what we know. So, for those of you who may just somehow have not heard about this over the course of the week, a very popular musical artist named Travis Scott had his annual Astroworld Festival in Houston, where unfortunately, initially 8 people had passed away. There is now a 9th person who has passed away as a result of their injuries at this festival. Okay. So since then, there's been a lot of conversation about what went wrong, how could this have been prevented? And then, of course, always it's turned political somehow. Not extremely political, but the political side of the conversation sounds a little something like this. Ah, leave Travis alone. This is not the first concert where people got trampled and died. And then the other side of the conversation is hold Travis accountable. He was the one responsible for this and he needs to be held accountable. And I'm like, how do these situations just devolve into a debate? What is the debate? Like 9 people died at a concert. There's really not much to debate, and there might be more. Now, there's a lot of questions surrounding this event, many of which we went into on my other channel on those other two shows, but lots of different stories coming out, lots of different speculation coming out regarding this event. The police released a very specific detail and then they retracted it. And that detail was, and this came directly out of the police. I don't know if he's a chief or what, but he was speaking, came directly out of his mouth. The day after it happened, he said that one of their security guards got pricked in the neck and blacked out. And didn't he say that they gave him Narcan and he came to, right? The most important detail is that they said the security guard got pricked in the neck with some sort of drug, blacked out, and then came to. Well, fast forward 2 or 3 days, the cops themselves, the same cop who told us that, came out and retracted his statement. He said that they found the security guard and that he had not been pricked in the neck, that he had in fact been hit in the head with an object like a skateboard or something and blacked out. Now that is quite the disparity between two different stories coming from the cops. These weren't coming from eyewitnesses and just regular people. The police released this information and then they retracted it. So that's just one example of how confusing and convoluted this situation has been since this all started. But let's take a look at what has taken place since. Says Travis Scott's Astroworld Music Festival turned deadly on Friday when a crowd surge, and this is last Friday, by the way, when a crowd surge pushed concertgoers toward the stage, crushing and trampling fans, killing 8, now 9, and leaving some fighting for their lives. Since then, a criminal investigation has launched into the event, and multiple lawsuits have been filed against Scott and the promoter Live Nation Entertainment. Meanwhile, Scott's attorney, Edwin F. McPherson, is accusing others, including Houston city officials, of finger pointing, sending inconsistent messages, and backtracking from original statements in a statement issued Wednesday to USA Today. Investigations should start proceeding over finger pointing so that together we can identify exactly what transpired and how we can prevent anything like this from happening again. It says on Thursday, USA Today exclusively revealed findings from an 11-page log written by firefighters as the night unfolded. The notes, filled in manually by Houston fire officials in a command center, show how the festival began with crowds rushing over barricades and escalated into further chaos, and how police, paramedics, and others responded to the growing crisis. So I found this little graphic online here. And apologies, I did not grab the creator of this graphic. So shout out to whoever created this graphic. But I thought it was pretty good at illustrating kind of what took place in the timeline. So it says how the deadly chaos unfolded. So around 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, hundreds of people are filmed stampeding through the VIP checkpoint. We kind of analyzed this bum rushing of the gates on those other videos. But then around 9:15, so a little over 7 hours later, the crowd of 50,000 concert goers begins to move towards the front of the stage, crushing those at the front, okay? And this is kind of the layout. So there's the main entrance, the VIP entrance, which is the one that got rushed, the main stage, there was a second stage, and then the Astrodome itself, okay? So that's kind of what it looked like. Now, what I will clear up here on this channel is the news is trying to make it seem like this group that rushed the front is also the group that caused the stampede later on in the day. And it's not that that's not possible. I mean, it is possible, but the two did not happen at the same time. So they didn't rush the front, then rush the stage and kill all these people. They rushed the front, and I guess security just let them stay in there. Like, oh, well, they're in here now. Just let them stay in. You know what I mean? So they never cleared that up. So all these people who rushed in, did you kick them out? Did you check their tickets? You know what I mean? So, but the news is trying to make it seem like the two events occurred at the same time. And I think it's very important to separate them because it appears that multiple different events happened on this day. So if they just say, oh, yeah, it was a stampede and that's why people died, there might be other reasons for people's injuries. For example, on many of the stories that we've taken a look at, many people had heart attacks and went into cardiac arrest at this festival. Heart attacks and cardiac arrest. So, and you don't see it reported frequently in the news, but it is out there. We covered it on the other channel. So you got all these people having heart attacks, cardiac arrest. You got people saying that they felt like their breath was being taken away, that it got really, really hot. Like there's lots of different stories coming out of this thing. So I would hate for them to just brush it off as, oh, it was just a stampede, when clearly there was so much more going on than that. Okay. So here's the part where it says, where the police retracted their story. Astroworld security guard was not injected with drugs, police chief says. Okay, he was the chief. On Wednesday, Houston Police Chief Troy Finner offered clarity on a security guard who was rumored to have been injected with drugs during Friday's melee. Finner said the guard was not injected with anything, but was struck in the head and knocked unconscious. Police are still investigating whether there were laced drugs at the concert. He said 2 people remain in the hospital in very critical condition. Finner said it was up to the show promoter Live Nation Entertainment, not police, to secure 2 mosh pits directly in front of the stage, describing staffing records handing over by organizers as just not good. He emphasized that he was not placing any blame. And someone brought up a good point somewhere on YouTube. They said that like they've had festivals larger than this before where people are out in the crowd doing like the hard drugs, like the real drugs, and people don't die. Like people might black out, they might pass out, but they don't die. And yes, there have been other deaths. Oh, if you find that, Alexa, send it to me, please. I'd like to see that too. There have been other there have been other deaths at concerts. So this is not the first time it happened, but it is unusual in 2021. I think that's what's throwing people off a little bit. Like we think we're so modern, but clearly we're not. Clearly still savage to some degree. Okay. That, and then the other big issue with this is people are upset with Travis Scott because they're saying he could have stopped the show. He could have done something about it because he was in very much a position to do so. For example, they're saying he could have told people to get out of the way of the ambulance or whatever, but instead he kept performing for close to 40 minutes as this was all taking place. But as we discussed on my other channel, a lot of the events are just weird and don't quite add up because in some pictures, people are moving around freely. They don't appear to be in distress. And then in other pictures that are circulating in videos, they are in distress. So it's just really hard to say. Let's see here. Okay, the festival's operation plan was lacking. So see, look at this picture, right? So what they're saying is in this picture that we're looking at right now, that there are currently people being compressed, crushed, trampled to death, stomped out, basically just killed, right? But if you look closely, these people are having a great time. These people are having a great time. They're smiling, they're laughing, they got their phones up, they're taking video, they're doing their TikToks, they're dancing. Now, that is not to say that beneath all these people, there may not be people on the ground. But do you see why Travis may have been confused? Like, do you see why? Like, you look out and it's like, hey, everyone's having a great time. Like, it doesn't look like people are in the crowd dying right now. Yeah, it's way too many people. So that's why it's kind of confusing. Like, it's such a strange, I could see how he would be confused by that. I'm not justifying anything and I'm not taking up for him. But if I looked out across this crowd, I would be like, okay, they're having a great time. They're having fun. I wouldn't think anyone was being harmed in that moment. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's really weird. And the videos say the same thing. The Texas governor has launched a concert safety task force. And let's see what else. A 9-year-old is in a coma after being separated from his dad at the festival. So we talked about that on my other channel as well. So here's the 9-year-old young man. The fact that there were kids there. Now I found out through the live chat or through the comments over there that apparently in Texas, kids are allowed to go to bars. They're allowed to go to concerts. Now this is what a Texas resident told me, but apparently they're allowed to go to bars, concerts, and there was one other venue that they named. So I guess it's not unusual for kids to go to a festival in Texas or go to a music festival like this. And Travis Scott has a lot of appeal to the youth. He was in Fortnite. They took away his Fortnite skin, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a character that you like put on top of another character, a skin, but they disabled his Fortnite skin. Apparently he's lost other endorsements. But he was at McDonald's. He had some sort of meal at McDonald's. He did the Fortnite thing and one other thing that I can't think of. So he has a lot of appeal with children. Children love him. Oh, he hosts like Fortnite live streaming events. So I guess they couldn't leave the kids out because apparently the kids are like a huge part of his fan base. But we talked about that. Lots of kids got hurt at this concert. Lawsuits claim profits over safety. Now, here's what's interesting about this to me. People lately are really acting surprised by this. Like the whole Facebook whistleblower thing, which, we covered, but like I know you can't see me rolling my eyes, but I am. That was one of her major like revelations. She was like, on more than one occasion, Facebook put profits over people. And it's like, yeah, that's the American way. That's what y'all do. That's what you've been doing. We've been trying to call you out on it. You didn't care. You didn't listen until it directly affected you. But yeah, yeah. So why are people acting surprised by this when this is literally culturally built in to put money over people, over safety, always, at all times? That's the American way. It's probably a global thing, but it's definitely the American way. All right. So lawsuits have been filed. We're going to take a look at that in a second. Travis Scott issued refunds to everyone, and he put out a really poorly done apology video. He shouldn't have done that. He should have released a statement. Okay, so there's that. So check out the videos on A Deeper PTE. You have the What Happened at Astroworld, and then I think Our Psychology is being operated on, and I do video. All right. So now, let me see if we can get this bigger. Over 150 people have either filed an individual lawsuit or are part of a class action lawsuit. Okay. And I was thinking about it earlier. This has the potential to really disrupt not only his career, but his finances. Because I know they have insurance for this type of stuff. And I know he's dating a billionaire chick. But when people die, that's a considerable amount of money. But it's not the death claims that are going to eat into his funds. It's all these injury claims. The 9-year-old in a coma, the girl who just passed away. Like, it's all these injury claims. The people who are going to say they were disabled for life and may have been. That's what's going to eat into his wallet. 300 plus people saying I was injured at your event. But don't they have people sign waivers and stuff? The 9-year-old died too? Oh, you said that a 9-year-old died. No. I don't think he died yet. He's still in a coma. He's still in a coma. But I thought a child, I don't know. I'm losing track. It's kind of crazy. But let's take a look at what they wrote up. This is Ben Crump, the celebrity attorney. And this is what he wrote. Attorney Ben Crump files lawsuit on behalf of 9-year-old catastrophically injured at the Astroworld Festival. Nationally renowned personal injury attorneys Ben Crump of Ben Crump Law and Alex and Bob Hilliard of Hilliard Martinez Gonzalez have filed a lawsuit on behalf of the father of EB, a 9-year-old child who was trampled and catastrophically injured at the Astroworld Festival. The lawsuit alleges negligence in a great number of aspects, including crowd control, failure to provide proper medical attention, hiring, training, supervision, and retention. The lawsuit names Score More Management, Live Nation Entertainment, Travis Scott, Cactus Jack Records, and others as defendants. The lawsuit filing will allow independent experts commissioned by the legal team to access the roped-off crime scene at the festival. That's right. They're treating the festival as a crime scene, or at least parts of it as a crime scene. Says this young child and his family will face life-altering trauma from this day forward, a reality that nobody expects when they buy concert tickets. True. Concerts and music festivals such as this are meant to be a safe place for people of all ages to enjoy music in a controlled environment. None of that was true about the Astroworld Festival, said Crump. This little boy is currently fighting for his life, and his parents will never know the same child they entered Astroworld with. He's currently in a medically induced coma on life support. The lawsuit alleges that the defendants failed to stop Travis Scott's performance until over 40 minutes after city officials said the mass casualty event had begun. Okay. So that's where we are with that. Here's that nurse that y'all were trying to, I still haven't watched her be all the way through. It says, yeah, so he's representing 150 people in this lawsuit. So if you get a million apiece, that's 150 million. Again, not much for a billionaire, but still, that's going to hurt. That's going to sting a little bit. So quite the tragedy. You know, this young lady passed away. She got hurt. And apparently it was her first concert she ever went to. So, this thing is going to grow legs and go on and on and on. But again, I just don't know how you would manage a crowd of this size. Like, where's that picture? How do you control a crowd of this size? Like, I really just don't know. Like, and they've had larger crowds than this before. So I just don't know how you would pull that off without the use of like drones. You know what I mean? Or like little lifeguard stations that are posted all throughout the venue where the cops can kind of sit high above the crowd and look down. But I don't think people would like that. People want to go do their little drugs. You know what I mean? And they don't want to think that there's a cop overhead looking down on them partying. So I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with answers and solutions, but I would never be out here in this mess because I'm short and I'll get lost up in this real quick. I would be one of the people on the ground getting stepped on. So rest in peace to everyone who unfortunately and tragically lost their lives. We will see what comes of all of this, okay? So again, check out those videos if you want my deeper thoughts on this whole situation, all right? Now, another situation that's been going on for quite a few months, I think this has been going on all this year, if not longer. Britney Spears finally got freed from her conservatorship, all right? So people have been screaming, "Free Britney" all year. Conservatorship definition. I just want to make sure that I know and we know what that is. A conservatorship is when a court appoints someone to manage an incapacitated person or minor's financial and sometimes personal affairs. Okay. So I know this was a big deal when she first started trying to break free from this earlier this year. I did not follow it closely, but I did kind of hear like murmurings about it. And essentially, her dad had full and complete control over her life after she had her mental health crisis. God, when was that? That was years ago. What was that? 2010, 2009, something like that. So ever since then, it was 13 years ago. So 21 minus 13, whatever that is. He's had control of her ever since. Now, apparently, he's not only been controlling like her money, he's been controlling like every aspect of her life. Now, this is me just reciting what I think I remember. But if I'm not mistaken, didn't he have her like on birth control? Or like she was like forced to go get examinations or something? Something very invasive, I recall. Well, that's all over for her now because a judge has set her free. It says Britney Spears is free. A Los Angeles County judge on Friday ended the conservatorship that has controlled the pop singer's life and money for nearly 14 years. The decision capped a stunning odyssey that saw Spears publicly demand the end of the conservatorship, hire her own attorney, have her father removed from power, and finally win the freedom to make her own medical, financial, and personal decisions for the first time since 2008. As of today, the conservatorship of the person and estate of Britney Jean Spears is hereby terminated, Judge Brenda Penny said. Jubilation erupted outside the courthouse, with fans cheering and shouting after the decision was announced. The crowd chanted, "Britney, Britney, Britney, and fans sang and danced to Spears' song Stronger. Spears promptly tweeted about the decision. Good God, I love my fans so much it's crazy. I think I'm going to cry the rest of the day. Best day ever. Praise the Lord. Can I get an amen? Spears' attorney, Matthew Rosengart, told fans and reporters that the case helped shine a light on conservatorships and guardianships from coast to coast, from California to New York. And that took a tremendous amount of insight, courage, and grace. The judge's move was widely expected, with little support left for prolonging the legal arrangement. No new arguments were offered at the 30-minute hearing, and Spears did not attend. As recently as last spring, it appeared that the conservatorship could continue for years. Then it unraveled with surprising speed. Key to the unraveling was a speech Spears made at a hearing in June when she passionately described the restrictions and scrutiny as abusive and said, "I just want my life back," a line her lawyer repeated in court on Friday. Spears demanded that the conservatorship end without any prying evaluation of her mental state. Legal experts at the time said that that was unlikely to happen and would represent a departure from common court practice. But the judge said at Wednesday's hearing that California law did not require her to order further evaluation of Spears if no one requested it. The judge allowed Spears to hire Rosengart, an attorney of her choice, in July. He made it his goal first to have James Spears removed from his role as conservator of his daughter's finances before working to end the conservatorship altogether. The judge suspended James Spears at a September hearing, citing the toxic environment his presence created. And then it goes on to say, but more courtroom battles could lie ahead. So essentially, when someone has a conservatorship over you, they essentially are your parent. They continue to be your parent even if you're an adult. And this is probably largely reserved for people who are mentally incapacitated, or maybe someone who's become injured to the point where they can't handle their own affairs anymore. I'm not sure when this comes up a lot, but this was all stemming from her mental health crisis back in '08. So truly, it probably only should have lasted like a year or two. But chances are her daddy liked it. It's like, sweet, I get to I get to be in charge of Britney Spears' money, career, and life. Awesome. Where that typically ends for people at age 18. You see what I mean? So congratulations, Britney. I hope that this opens a new door for you and starts a new chapter in your life for you, okay? So all the Britney fans rejoiced, all right? Now let's talk about this mess, honey, okay? This mess of a trial. I have some strong opinions about this, but I will reserve those for my other channel where I explore those stronger opinions. We're just going to look at everything that has been taking place regarding this Kyle Rittenhouse case and court session that's currently in trial. That's the word I was looking for. Let's see. Maybe I should. No, I'm going to start with this one and go to the next one. There's just so much high strangeness going on with this, okay? The judge is weird. Rittenhouse is weird. Like everything is weird about this thing, okay? And for the first time, I actually have no idea. I have no opinion and no prediction as far as what I think will happen because I was wrong about Derek Chauvin. Like I thought Derek Chauvin would walk. I really did. So when they convicted him, I was stunned. So in this situation, I have no idea what's going to happen. Like I have a scenario for both outcomes, but I actually don't have any predictions. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. And this judge is a mess. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of this judge. But let's take a look at a little bit of stuff that this judge did. And then let's look at the meme that Kyle made for himself this week as well. So it says the judge in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial faces backlash for an Asian food joke. It says the judge, he's facing backlash for making an offhanded joke about Asian food in the courtroom on Thursday. He said, "I hope the Asian food isn't on one of those boats in Long Beach Harbor." Kenosha County Circuit Judge Bruce Schroeder said ahead of a lunch break. The joke, which appeared to reference to the supply chain backlog impacting California ports, left a bad taste among some in the Asian community. It says this remark can only be seen as a joke at the expense of Asians and Asian Americans. And then the biased judge in the Rittenhouse trial just made a thinly veiled anti-Asian comment, quote, "because all Asian food comes from China, like the boats. Ha ha, what a bigot." Okay, so on top of just being a very strange thing to say, because what happened was they're getting ready to break for lunch, and he says to everybody, "I hope the Asian food isn't on one of those boats stuck in Long Beach Harbor," trying to crack a joke or something. Like, how weird are you? Like, why would you even say that? Especially considering that this trial so heavily has to deal, the facts of the trial don't have to deal with race per se, but I think race is a component, because didn't he killed two black guys and shot a white guy, but the white guy lived, right? I need to verify that, so don't quote me on that. But basically, a judge is not supposed to display any kind of infallibility. They're almost supposed to be perfect. And I mean that. Like, a judge is supposed to be above reproach, because the buck stops with you. So we have to trust judges to operate with the highest degree of integrity. So to say, like, he could have just said, "I hope the food is not on one of those boats in the harbor." That would have been fine. "Hey, I hope our lunch isn't on one of the boats in the harbor," even though some people may have taken offense to that too, because the supply chain issues are real and causing real problems. But just to say, "I hope the Asian food," let me get the direct quote again. "I hope the Asian food isn't coming, ... isn't on one of those boats in Long Beach Harbor." Okay. So just very bizarre, but this is not the first weird thing that he's done. And let me tell you what I think is happening to this judge. I don't have a word for this. I don't have a term to describe this, but I'll see if I can come up with one. It's almost like I have to use a phrase to describe it. And the phrase is, "Oh, there's a camera there." So the phenomenon that I've seen come over people, and this happened recently to someone else, and for whatever reason, I just can't pull up who this was. But it's a phenomenon where people who otherwise in their life would never be famous, but somehow suddenly have come into fame. It's almost like they feel the need to, like, put on a show all of a sudden. Oh, I like that. I'm going to use that, Alexis. Thank you. Coined by Alexis, camera struck. I like that. Camera struck. So it's like they would not, in other words, they would not act like this if they weren't being televised, publicized, talked about. You know what I mean? They would not be behaving this way. It's because of the camera and because of the subsequent fame that they start to, like, act out and, like, get grand. And we're going to take a look at this here, okay? So the same judge, like, got loud with the prosecutor, right? But when you watch the video, you could tell that it like shocked him. He was like, "Oh, wow, I've never done that before." Because he started stuttering. We're going to watch it here. And that's kind of what makes this person weird to me. This whole incident that we're getting ready to look at, the Asian food comment, and this is the same judge who wouldn't let the prosecutors call them victims. He had to call them, right? What do they approve? Rioters, looters, something like that. That's the first time I've ever heard a judge control the language of a description. So basically, this judge is not demonstrating impartiality. I think that's part of the reason I have no idea which way this case is going to go. I don't know. I don't know. But here's him being camera struck and shocked with himself. He goes, "Don't get brazen with me." Rittenhouse judge snaps at a prosecutor as defense requests a mistrial. Okay. So I thought I was going to click on this and see like the read of the century, you know what I mean? But instead, what I saw was someone who was trying to put on a performance, and then it's almost like they realize it's almost like forgetting your lines on stage in a way. Let's take a look. It's very bizarre. Uh-oh, no sound. Where's my sound? Hold on. Oh man, I don't know where it is in this video, so bear with me. Wait a minute, before we continue, this is also the judge whose phone rang in the middle of the session, and he had to turn off his own ringtone. I knew there was more with this guy. This guy, he's kind of messy. He's very messy.
He's either forgetting the court's rulings or attempting to provoke a mistrial in this matter. He knows he can't go into this, and he's asking the questions. I asked the court to strongly admonish him, and the next time it happens, I'll be asking for a mistrial with prejudice. He's an experienced attorney, and he knows better.
Mr. Bigger? First of all, Your Honor, this was the subject of a motion. I'm well aware of that. And the court left the door open.
For me, not for you.
My understanding of
You should have come and asked for reconsideration. You did on the one motion, and in fact, I granted your motion for reconsideration.
That was on our motion.
Excuse me. I did. I granted.
We did not move
That
for
was their
reconsideration.
motion.
We have not filed any motions to reconsider in this case.
That was their motion for reconsideration, which I denied. But I said I denied it, or I indicated a bias towards denial is what I did. Held it open with a bias towards denial. Why would you think that that made it okay for you without any advance notice to bring this matter before the jury? I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years. I have no idea why you would do something like that. And it gives, I'll leave it at that. So I don't know what you're up to.
Can I respond?
Yes.
We filed another X motion on this exact issue because, in my mind, and I argued this, it is identical to what was going on the night of August 25th, in the sense that the defendant was using this exact same weapon. He was using it in a manner to try and protect property.
No, he wasn't.
Your Honor, with all due respect,
I'm not going to rehash the motion. Yeah, that's absolutely untrue. No. Your argument's of record. My comments are of record, and why I ruled as I did is of record. There's nothing that I heard in this trial to suggest that anything's changed, even if you're correct in your assumption that you know more than I did at the time. You should have come to the court and say, I want to go into this. Why you would think that you could go into it without any advance notice to the court, I don't understand that. And as the defense is pointing out, you're an experienced trial lawyer, and this should not have been gone into. You know why it was excluded in the first place? Because it was propensity evidence. That is exactly what 90404 is designed to prevent. You're talking about his attitudes. His attitude is he wants to shoot people. Now, I've admitted that kind of evidence in other trials when it's been appropriate. I didn't admit it in this case because, to me, what I've heard in this trial, and by the way, Mr. Richards absolutely correctly points out that just hours ago, I said I had heard nothing in this trial to change any of my rulings. So why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the
Don't
defense
get
testimony.
brazen with me. You knew very well. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas.
I'm sorry, y'all. Wait 1 second. Wait. Just watch, okay? Watch. Imagine being someone who's really trying out this little, Shogun, Top Gun attitude for the first time. Billy Badass. You're trying out this Billy Badass for the first time, and you're not really comfortable with it. It's it's almost like, imagine I got a perfect example. Imagine a preteen young man whose voice is changing, right? And one day he's like maybe getting to a shouting match. He's debating with a friend one day over sports or something. And one day he goes from, Timmy, you don't know anything about sports. And he's like, oh my God, was that my voice? Like, you know how you would like jump back if your voice suddenly went deep on you and you weren't expecting it? That's kind of what this judge is doing, man. He's so uncomfortable with his own little, I can't even describe it. Because this is not him. I don't even know this guy. And I can tell you that this is not him. This is not how he acts. This is not how he behaves. You're not tough. You're not Billy Badass, okay? You got the camera in your face. You know this is going to go viral. So you feel like this is your moment. Watch. The whole thing, really, but this is the moment. Watch.
Whoa. I said I had heard nothing in this trial to change any of my rulings. So why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the
Don't
defense
get
testimony.
brazen with me. You knew very well. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas when the judge has already ruled without asking outside the presence of the jury to do so. So don't give me that. That's number two.
We're not going to watch the rest of this unless y'all want to. Yes, putting 20 on 10. Don't get brazen with me. So what I was saying was, the next time we have a troll, I'm gonna go, don't get brazen with me. But could you please stop doing that? Like what? Like if you're gonna go there, go there. You want to see the rest? Okay. Only if y'all let me back up this one little part, because it has got to be the funniest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. Like he seriously is like, this is my moment. Want to be Judge Judy. Like I'll finally get my TV career going after this, because I get firm with the defendants and I get sharp with them and I clap back on them. You know what I'm saying? Like, Judge Judy, I'm coming for your seat. But boy, you back down just as quick as you stood up. You jumped up to get beat down by yourself.
Why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the
Don't
defense
get
testimony.
brazen with me. You knew very well. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas when the judge has already ruled without asking outside the presence of the jury to do so. So don't give me that. That's number one. Number two, this is propensity evidence. I said at the time that I made my ruling, and I'll repeat again now for you.
Oh, you said no more. I thought you said more, please.
Talking about.
I thought you said more, please. Oh, God, that's funny. Well, it's out there. Don't you get smart with me. Don't you get brazen with me. Oh God. Okay. And finally, one more little piece of something from this case. Okay. Honey. Ooh. I have so many thoughts on this trial. I'm just not going to share them here. But honey, like, don't do this. Okay, guys? Like, y'all got to practice your cries, okay? Practice them. You got to practice letting your tears emanate from within. You know, because when you're really upset, you don't have to do your face like this. When you're really upset, the tears just start falling out. Whew. Ooh. Okay. There's a lot going on here, okay? Kyle Rittenhouse, in addition to everything that has led up to this and us even knowing who he is, cried on the stand. It was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. He basically started hyperventilating. I'll save that for my other channel, that thought. But now he's been memed to death, to high hell. Okay, this right here, honey. I really feel like our psychology is being operated on with this case as well. I really do. But I'll tell you why, and I'll explain more on my other channel. Not tonight, just another day. But I feel like our psychology is being operated on, and that's part of the reason I really haven't covered this case. Because for example, I will say this. For example, I'm putting you right, that boy, child. Oof. The FBI sat on a video for like this whole entire time, and they just now released it to the jury like a week or two ago. It might even been this week. If it wasn't this week, it was last week. So what makes me feel like our psychology is being operated on is the fact that for a year and a half or however long it's been, you let us believe one thing. Then when the trial starts, you suddenly release this mysterious video that you've had the whole time. So you had drone footage the whole time. And you didn't tell us, you didn't show us. It's almost like it took you a long time to manufacture the footage. I'm sorry, wrong channel. I just don't like the fact that they would hold essentially that card in their back pocket and play that card as soon as the trial starts. It's like you're trying to screw with our thought process. Yes, Joan, yes. It's like you're trying to screw with our thought process. You're trying to make us think one thing, get all stirred up, get all upset about one thing, and then you throw in a new detail months later that obviously would change how everyone looks at the situation. So it's like you're purposely trying to confuse people and cause chaos and division and strife and everything. So I'll leave it there. I'm not going to play this boy crying on the stand because I'll start laughing hysterically. And I know a lot of people are really rooting for this kid. So at risk of upsetting subs or whoever, I'm not going to play the video, but you've seen it. You've seen that hyperventilating mess on the stand, okay? Yeah, it was the worst performance I've ever seen as well. And if you pay attention, when he stops towards the end of the cry, well, first of all, he never puts his hand down. I want y'all to pay attention to that. He never actually puts his hand down during the whole cry, which is bizarre because typically when people cry, they don't cry with their hands up. You know what I mean? Like typically when you cry, you tend to like kind of fold in a little bit. But he literally, his arm like got stuck up in the air as he was doing this weird cry. But at the end, he like turns to look at the judge almost like, how was that? Was that good? Did I do good? Was that convincing? Yeah. Was that did I turn it on or no? Listen, I know I told y'all to use whatever's in your toolkit, but this is not what I meant. All right. So he's been memed. This will go down in history, no matter the outcome of this trial. Ooh, child. Ooh, child. You need to cry more. You need more practice crying. Ooh, you got to practice just sitting there and letting the tears just fall out. All right. Let's move on to lighter, fluffier news. I think everything is pretty light and fluffy from here on out. YouTube is going to be removing the dislike count on all videos across its platform. So I don't know. Are you all able to see the dislikes on this video right now? You probably can. They haven't done it yet. I haven't seen it take place yet, but apparently it's coming and it's going to happen. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on it momentarily, but let's just look at the rationale. YouTube today announced its decision to make the dislike count on videos private across its platform. The decision is likely to be controversial given the extent that it impacts the public's visibility into a video's reception. But YouTube believes the change will better protect its creators from harassment and reduce the threat of what it calls dislike attacks, essentially when a group teams up to drive up the number of dislikes a video receives. The company says that while dislike counts won't be visible to the public, it's not removing the dislike button itself. Users can still click the thumbs down button on videos to signal their dislike to creators privately. Meanwhile, creators will be able to track their dislikes in YouTube Studio alongside other analytics about their video's performance if they choose. Excuse me. So they ran a pilot earlier this year to test it out. At the time, YouTube explained that public dislike counts can affect creators' well-being and may motivate targeted campaigns to add dislikes to videos. While that's true, dislikes can also serve as a signal to others when videos are clickbait, spam, or misleading, which can be useful. YouTube said it also had heard from smaller creators and others who were just getting started on the platform that they felt they were being unfairly targeted by dislike attacks. The experiment confirmed that this was true. Creators with smaller channels were targeted with dislike attacks more than larger creators were. YouTube declined to share specific details of the data collected through those experiments, of course. It ran a test for multiple months and did an in-depth analysis of the impact to see how changes affected both the users and the creators. They experimented with different designs. I can't even deal. I hate this platform so much. They are so whack. You are so beyond whack. You're whack. And then YouTube itself released a statement. Let's see what they said. At YouTube, we strive to be a place where creators of all sizes and backgrounds can find and share their voice. To ensure that YouTube promotes respectful interactions between viewers and creators, we introduced several features and policies to improve their experience. And earlier this year, we experimented with the dislike button to see whether or not changes could help better protect our creators from harassment and reduce dislike attacks, where people work to drive up the number of dislikes on a creator's video. Y'all, my head is just going to explode. My head is going to pop off. Oh my God. Creators will still be able to see their exact dislike counts and other existing metrics. Just you guys won't be able to. So let me give an extensive set of thoughts on this. Let me say this first and foremost. If you are a content creator or an aspiring content creator, and you cannot handle the fact that some of your videos will get disliked sometimes, you do not need to be a content creator. This is not for you. This is not your ballpark. This is not your wheelhouse. You're far too sensitive for YouTube or any other creative platform, truly. I'm being honest with you, okay? Because that is simply part of the game. It's part of life. And I honestly think the dislike button is one of the most valuable features of YouTube. Because I think about other things that don't have a dislike button. Facebook has no dislike button. Instagram has no dislike button. And Instagram is now hiding the like count. So even on Instagram, you can't even see who all liked a video. It'll just say, you liked this and others. But the content creator actually sees the actual count. So they don't even want you to get the positive feedback on Instagram because that's harmful to our psychology, right? Oh, God, help me, God. This goes to the way that They are trying to infantilize us all, make us all children, make us all weak, make it to where we can't handle criticism, feedback, critique, someone who disagrees. Snowflakes. Isn't that the word y'all always use? Snowflakes. You can't handle someone disliking your video. So YouTube is taking it down across the platform. Now, a lot of people are saying the real reason this is happening is because, like, when you go to the White House's YouTube page, most of their videos have been ratioed to hell, meaning there's more dislikes than likes. That's what ratioed means. Sometimes on Twitter, ratioed means there's more comments than likes or more comments than shares. Basically, it's off balance, basically. And it's not only them, it's the celebrities, it's the news networks that are on here. They are getting tired of them publishing their little news videos and getting dislikes on them. They're tired of getting very low views. So imagine being a news network with millions of dollars behind you. You publish a YouTube video and you get like 500 or 600 views. And you're a news network. You see what I mean? Like, all your videos should perform, every single one of them, because you have the resources. So to get on there and have them not perform, it's like their ego is so bruised and their ego is so damaged that they would rather remove it for everybody than just find a way to repair their self-esteem, find a way to build up their sense of confidence in themselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane, like it's crazy. Like, but here's something they didn't consider. I actually think this is going to be more harmful to the creator's mental health, and I'll tell you why. Not mine. I don't care. Like, I've always left my likes and dislikes public. I've always left my sub count public, always. Because to me, it's part of being authentic. You know what I mean? This is who I am. This is how many subs I have. This is how many people like this video and how many people didn't. And I get dislikes. And yeah, it hurts your little feelings at first. And then you just come to realize that there are going to be people who dislike certain things. And one thing that YouTube never did is let people give us feedback. So if I dislike the video, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I disliked it. So you know I'm not just disliking it because I hate you. That's one way to prevent the quote unquote dislike campaigns, which how could you ever prove that? How can you prove that this is just a group of people who don't like me, or this is a bunch of people who just did not like this video? How do you prove that? You can't prove it. They're making it up. Somebody's feelings got hurt. Somebody's kids' feelings got hurt. And they decided to wipe out the dislike count across the whole entire platform. I think it's absolutely insane. But let me tell you why I think this is actually going to be more damaging to creators than not. Because when your dislike count is public and everyone can see it, it kind of like, what am I trying to say? It's like the shame is shared, if you will, if that makes sense. So if a video gets 10 dislikes, you all see it, I see it, you see it, we see it together. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like it's almost like public accountability in a way. But when you hide that from the public and make it to where only the creator can see it, essentially what you've done is now tell them the truth about who they really are. Oh, I'm trying so hard to explain it. Let's see here. In other words, you can't lie to yourself. So the general public won't be able to see the dislikes, but you can. And you know how that video did. You know that people don't really like you, or do. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like it's going to create, in my opinion, a mental health crisis. If anyone knows what I'm trying to say, I will take any help that I can get, because it makes perfect sense in my mind, but it's hard for me to explain. So I do a video, boom, get 4 or 5 dislikes on it. We all see it. So there's like nothing for me to hide about that. You see what I mean? It's like, hey, that video got 5 dislikes. We all know it. So it's like there's no shame. There's nowhere for me to hide behind that. But if I do a video and it gets 5 dislikes, now I only know secretly, and now I secretly know that I'm a failure. Does anyone understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah, it's like holding up a mirror. Exactly, Keisha. Like, so, okay, let's say I publish a video, right? And let's say it gets 100 dislikes, which would be a lot. But y'all can't see that, but I can. Now I'm living in shame. You understand? Now I know, okay, they can see 200 likes. They see the 200 likes, but secretly in my heart, I know that video got 100 dislikes. So I'm a secret failure now, as opposed to a public failure. And being a secret failure, I feel like will kind of like eat you up inside. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's a form of self-accountability. Exactly, Alexis. It's like you just have to own it. When you publish these videos, when you do these live streams, you have to own your content. You just have to own it and just say, hey, this is what it is. Some people will like it, some people won't, and that's what it is. And then the other thing is you can also track your development over time. So you can see, okay, initially maybe I used to get a lot of dislikes, but now I don't get as many dislikes anymore. So maybe that means you're doing better. You see what I mean? But it also just tells people, like I'll watch a video and I'm like, oh, hell, I'm going to go dislike this. And when I go dislike it and I see how many other people did, I'm like, okay, so clearly I'm thinking along similar lines. But what it's going to become is like, I don't know how other people feel about this video now. Am I the only one who feels this way? I'll never know. But now the comments are just going to get flooded with thumbs down emojis. That's what's going to end up happening. All the comment sections are going to get flooded with thumbs down emojis. Like, y'all are such children. I cannot take this. Take the dislikes off YouTube, kids. We're adults. Adults need to be able to handle the fact that sometimes people won't like them. Get this, guys. Sometimes people just don't like you. Now, that's a tough pill to swallow. Sometimes it has nothing to do with your content. Sometimes they just don't like you, the person. Sometimes they can't stand the sound of your voice. There's a million different reasons people hit that dislike button. You know what I mean? And you just have to be able, it builds character. I'm being honest. Like it truly builds character. It really does. You know what I mean? It says also because of how much has been downvoted on the government channels, the .gov channels. Exactly. So that is my piece of advice to you guys. Y'all cannot hop out here with a fragile ego. You really can't. You can't. You have to accept that people aren't always going to like your work. You're going to have to accept that sometimes you're going to put a lot of effort into something and people just won't like it. They won't be receptive to it. You have to accept that sometimes people will hate you, then they love you, then they hate you again. Sometimes we get death threats. I haven't gotten a good death threat in a long time. The death threats came in the early days of the channel. The death threats came. They slowed down. You got to deal with the death threats, being called names, called out your name, racial slurs, all that. Now that doesn't happen often. Again, that was really more the early days of the channel, but still it happens. You have to be able to deal with it. You have to. And if you can't, honey, do not become a YouTuber, or quite simply, just don't put any part of yourself out there. Meaning just do a channel where you don't talk and you don't show your face. There's lots of channels like that. Do a craft channel where you just video your hands making something with your hands and you never speak. Slap a soundtrack on the top of that thing. Boom, there's your YouTube channel. You never speak. You never talk. They never see who you are. If your ego is that fragile. Okay? Oh yeah, I haven't gotten a good death threat in many, many years now. Many years. I'll never forget one. A guy came in the comment section. He told me he was going to kill me because my girlfriend, not my girlfriend, his girlfriend listened to one of my videos and she broke up with him. Hey, look, sounds to me like she was paying attention, yeah? So, but apparently that made him very upset. She listened to one of my videos and broke up with him. And so he came to my chat and told me he was going to kill me. Yeah, good for her. Good girl. I wonder if she's still listening to this day. So, yeah. So that's my advice. I feel like I had another thought on that. They were saying that they attack the smaller channels, but really the truth of the matter is YouTube just does not support their smaller channels. So of course a smaller channel would get devoured and gobbled up by anything negative because YouTube does not promote smaller channels. Like my other little channel has less than 1,000 subs. Like it's crazy. And like I post quite regularly, but the algorithm just doesn't push it out. Now that could have something to do with our subject matter, but it's not the point. Like if you have watch time, if people are coming to the channel to watch the videos, push the videos out and stop acting like a child. We are so sick of y'all. It's like they want to be 50-year-old 10-year-olds. They want to be 50 years old, but they never want to leave age 10. They never want to move off the block of age 10. Age 10 was the sweet spot for them. And ever since then, they have been battling being an adult and everything that comes with adulthood. For example, I know a lot of you don't curse or whatever. You don't use foul language, and that's fine. I do. I have a potty mouth. But I thought about it the other day. For example, oh God, I'm not going to shout out his channel because I find him actually really irritating. But he's this big old swole up country boy. He's not country, but he has a country accent. He's very popular, well over, I won't give his sub count because I think y'all figure it out. A lot of people like him. And he irritates me because he's this big, grown, swole up adult male. And he'll be like, that's bull crap. Man, that's bulldoggy. Man, that's bulldoggy. Y'all know I don't cuss. Just say it. Just say it. Because when do you get to be an adult? You don't get to curse when you're a child. You don't get to curse when you're an adult. So when do you get to actually be an adult? You're 6 feet tall, 250 pounds, talking about that's bulldoggy. That's bull jiving. Just say bullshit. It's bullshit. Say it. Say it with your chest. Put some emphasis on it. All that gosh darn it. All that gosh darn it. What the fudge? You a grown adult male. What the fudge? I mean, what the fudge? I can't deal. I promise you, we would never get married. But if my husband started that mess up, if I met him and he was cursing and then halfway through he switched it up talking about what the fudge, we're done. Gosh dang it. Bull jiving. I could just stop. Just say it. When do you get to be an adult? When? Can anyone tell me when we actually get to be adults? All that bull jiving. Y'all know I don't curse. And then it's like a virtue signal. I don't curse, but I'll say bull jiving, gosh darn it, gosh dang it. Like just, whatever. I'm done. I'm through with it. I'm moving off it. Let's go on. Let's go. I should just say who it is, but he's just so annoying. Like, boy, stop. Be an adult. Like, I feel like in particular when men don't curse, it like, never mind. Let's move on. You're a grown man. Like, wow. You know what I mean? Like you're afraid of words. You're terrified of words. You're a grown man and you're scared of words. Man, I don't get into all that bull jiving. Man, that's bullgar. Man, that's bull coo. Just say it. Let's move on, y'all. So Kellogg's is filing a lawsuit against its own employees for striking at its Omaha cereal plant. Okay, we'll just read this little summary. Kellogg's filed a lawsuit against the union leading a strike against the company. Kellogg's suit says strikers intimidated staff and blocked access to its cereal plant. They said, "We are concerned about dangerous and unlawful behavior," a Kellogg spokesperson told Insider. Okay. So essentially, these people prevented vehicles from coming in and out of the facility. Um, wow, they are going hard. They're not letting up. They won't move. So Kellogg's is suing them. Like, how deep has it gotten with your employer that, like, they're suing you, but you still have a job, though? Like, isn't that weird? So, like, you're still employed by them, apparently, I think. Well, yeah, if you're striking, that means you're still employed. You're still employed by them, striking at your own workplace, and then they sue you for blocking the entry and stuff. Like, it's just getting too deep, y'all. This stuff is getting too entrenched. Okay. But if you end up not getting any frosted flakes, now you know why. Okay. But I'm just so proud to see so many people standing up for their rights. I don't know if I can support, like, you can't kidnap people. So, like, if someone is trying to leave and you won't let them leave, I do not support kidnapping or holding people hostage or holding people against their will. But I absolutely support a good strike. I support a good picket line. You know what I mean? And I support giving them pure hell until you get what you need. Because otherwise, you see what they'll do. You see that they will absolutely push you to the absolute limit. And then when they've pushed you over the edge, they go, "Oh, sorry, thoughts and prayers." Thoughts and prayers. What the fudge? All right, let's move on, you guys. So a judge okays a $626 million settlement in the Flint water crisis. And I'm actually really glad this is in the news. Happy to hear about this as well. But it brings up a very valuable point that I make more often on my other channel than this one. And that point is, currently our governmental officials are trying to pretend like they really care about public health. And they're trying to pretend like all of their actions centered around COVID are for the betterment of public health and the good of public health, because we love you guys and we care about you. But let's never forget the fact that Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water, you guys. Still doesn't have clean water. So I find it hard to believe that you really care about public health when there are parts of the United States of America, an alleged first world country, that doesn't have clean drinking water. So riddle me this. What good is a vaccine if your drinking water is dirty? For those who watch the other channel, that might be your thought experiment the next time we meet. What good is a vaccine if your drinking water is dirty? And I mean that. Or if your drinking water could, like, literally kill you. A Michigan judge approved a $626 million settlement for thousands of people in Flint, Michigan, whose water was contaminated with lead, describing the agreement as a remarkable achievement. The settlement will be paid to city residents, with most of the money being given to children who were affected by, what the hell? Just reset my page. Just reset my page. Oh, I think they're trying to put me behind a paywall. Here we go. Let me just read fast. Being given to children who were affected by the contamination, but some also going to the adult population. So the majority of this money is going to the kids, y'all. The vast majority of the settlement will be paid by the state of Michigan. The rest will be paid out by the city of Flint, McLaurin Hospitals, and a company called Rowe Professional Services. The settlement reached here as a remarkable achievement for many reasons, not the least of which is that it sets forth a comprehensive compensation program and timeline that is consistent for every qualifying participant, regardless of whether they are members of a class or are non-class individuals represented by their own council. Flint's drinking water was contaminated after the source of their water supply was shifted from Lake Huron to the Flint River in 2014. The water wasn't adequately treated, and this caused lead from the pipes to leach into the city's drinking water. According to the CDC, this exposed approximately 99,000 residents to lead, which has also been linked to a number of health issues and has a greater impact on children than adults. Short-term lead poisoning has been linked to kidney and brain damage, while longer-term exposure may put people at risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, and reduced fertility. And again, I ask you, what good is your vaccine if your drinking water is giving you kidney damage, brain damage, high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, reduced fertility? Okay. This settlement was preliminarily approved in January, but Wednesday's news represented a more formal approval. Okay. Some people are upset that 80% of the money is going to the kids. I mean, it is kind of weird, but because I'm like, okay, why wouldn't you give it to the adults so they can pack up and move out of there? You know what I mean? That's what I would do. That's a lot of money. 626 million divided amongst basically 100,000 people. That's a lot of money per family. That's enough to pick up and move out of Flint, Michigan. But if they're giving the money to the kids, it's almost like that was their exact intent. Like, oh, we don't want y'all to leave. We don't want you to pack up and leave the area. So we'll give the money to the kids, the people who can't actually do anything with it for another, 10, 12 years. And then that way we maintain our resident population because the adults can't just pick up, pack up, and leave with the money that they have. So again, if you all want us to believe you when you do public health initiatives, you got to do stuff like this quicker, faster, with more urgency. You see what I mean? No one should be drinking lead-filled, contaminated water anywhere in the world, really, but especially not in the United States. But I am very happy to hear of their settlement, and I hope somehow they're able to work it out to where anyone who wants to take that money and leave can do so. All right, but the kids are set for life, although it sounds like their lives are going to be affected by this exposure to lead. All right. So in COVID news stills, the strict mandate takes effect in LA. That was on November 8th. Business patrons must show proof of vaccination. How uncool, LA. LA, that is not cool. Not cool. Not cool, not fun. All right. Let's see. People entering a wide variety of businesses in the city of Los Angeles had to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination starting Monday as one of the country's strictest measures aimed at slowing the spread took effect. The new rule covers businesses ranging from restaurants to malls to theaters to nail salons and hair salons. How crazy is this? I never would have expected this or seen this coming. All right, so life kind of sucks in LA right now. Rebound, you said, yeah, you're happy about this? Let's see here. Oh, are you being sarcastic? Wow, I'm not going to read through all that. I just find that so strange. Like, wow, like currently, like if I wanted to go to LA right now, I kind of couldn't, kind of. Like I literally kind of sort of could not go to LA because I wouldn't be able to go anywhere. I wouldn't be able to get a hotel. I wouldn't be able to go eat anywhere. I wouldn't be able to go anywhere. I wouldn't be able to go shopping. I wouldn't be able to do anything. How weird. How very strange. Oh, and Gavin Newsom reappeared. We'll talk about that on our next show on my other channel, but he made a reappearance, but he looks terrible, honey. He looks absolutely awful. So that's happening out in Los Angeles. I really hope that makes you guys feel safer, I guess. I don't know when this is going to end. Like, when is this going to come to an end? You're vaccinated. I don't get it. You're vaccinated, but you still got to stand 6 feet apart. You still got to wear a mask. So what's the point? Anyway, that's going on in LA. And then what do we have here? Oh, yes. The U.S. has opened the doors to vaccinated tourists. So if you had some people who wanted to come see you, but they had to be vaccinated first, the US is finally going ahead and reopened the doors to vaccinated tourists. And apparently, people were like lined up for miles to get into the United States. The old rules barred international visitors from 33 countries, including the UK, South Africa, Brazil, and much of Europe. Airlines, hotels, and others stand to benefit from the end to the restrictions. Visitors will have to show proof of vaccination to enter into the US, along with a recent negative COVID-19 test, though there are exemptions. Like, how crazy. You're fully vaccinated, you're scooted and booted up, but you've still got to show a negative test. So what is that? So the vaccine doesn't. What is the vaccine supposed to be doing? If I still have to show a negative test, I'm not supposed to be positive for it. I'm vaccinated. So why would I even have to test? I'm vaccinated. Like, this is just, but it looks like people are very happy to see each other again, welcoming friends and family from afar. So that's good. And I kind of had forgotten that people weren't traveling internationally, but apparently they weren't. So I bet the airport's going to get busy again and be packed. People just like that. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I think people really prefer the chaotic life. They like it. They like being stuck on the highway in 5 o'clock traffic, because to them, that's truly living. Bumper to bumper traffic, taking an hour and a half to get home, that's living to them. Going to crowded airports, waiting in long lines, crowded airplanes, crowded. That's living to them. Stress, you know what I mean? Like, people don't really want ease of life, I've learned. They really don't want ease of life. They actually prefer life to be chaotic and messy. That's the preference. And that's why, for all these years, that's what people created for themselves, chaos. We created chaos as a whole. As a whole, we created and maintained chaos. And I think that's because that's kind of what we like. We like it like that. I don't like it like that, but I'm just speaking in general terms. But anyway, I was just saying that because the airports are getting ready to get busy again. And some of my most traumatized experiences are in airports. Let's close out, you guys, with some news from the skies. A giant green fireball was captured, and more than 13 different people from more than 13 different states saw it. Okay. So I bring you this because these little sightings are happening more and more frequently. Did anyone see the aurora borealis? Apparently it was visible in parts all over the country this week, or this past weekend. But a giant green fireball was captured photobombing SpaceX's launch. So as SpaceX was going up, a green fireball was coming down. All right. So let's see. Did I catch the video? Well, here's a close-up of it. It's pretty. It's gorgeous. But this is happening an awful lot. Lots of meteors. Although I do think they said we're going through a meteor belt right now. But they say that like all the time. Dang, it was on the other link. I had a video of this, but I don't have it anymore. Oh, well. But the most interesting part about the story is the fact that so many different people saw it. 13 states. You know how big this thing had to be for people from 13 states to see it? I wish I had seen it, but I didn't. All right. 379 reports of the brilliant fireball between Georgia and New York State. Okay. So keep your eyes on the skies, you guys. Lots of stuff going on up there. All right. Lots of fireballs, meteors, SpaceX's, and hopefully one day, please, these aliens will come pick us up, honey, because I think it's about time. So hopefully this is just them clearing the way for their grand entry because, honey, I'm so sick and so tired. But it's entertaining, though, nonetheless. This here life is entertaining. You guys, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I might pop onto my other channel this weekend, but I may not. I've been working on People of the Lie. You guys would be super proud. I'm almost done finishing up the final show. And we are going to finish this book before this year is out. That is my commitment. All right. So, but I did work on this some. So People of the Lie is happening behind the scenes. This is just a very odd chapter to work up, but it's getting worked up. And we will finally finish that book review and recap after like a year and a half. Wow. All right. So thank you all so much for joining me this evening. Check out the other channel. Check out those Astroworld videos. And we will talk again very, very soon. Take care. Bye.